37 Disney Street, which isn't far from you, 3 Disney fans have watched a film which they will now review.
Hello friends and welcome to 37 Disney Street. This week we're taking a look at Pixar's Turning Red. Are you a triangle? 'Cause you are cute. I'm Chris Fletcher.
My panda, my choice. I am Lucy Rain.
I'm a woman now and my body's starting to change. Hi friends, I'm Hugh Rain.
No idea what happened then. Hi everybody. We're back. We finished doing the classics and now we're back doing not the classics.
The music.
It's not even Disney.
It's
Disney.
not a Disney classic. It's not a Disney
Pixar.
animated classic. It's a bit of Pixar, yeah. We thought we should because it's new and that.
Not our first Pixar, is it? What's
No.
that? We've done Onward
Yeah, we did Soul,
and Soul
Luca,
and Luca.
Toy Story 4. We've done quite a few Pixars.
Lots of them.
We have. We've done a number.
Fresh and new and untarnished.
Yeah, untarnished. Yes, indeed. And here we are again.
Turning red.
Yeah.
Lucy and I are wearing red.
Yes.
You would have been too, Chris, but you don't have any red.
I don't know anything that's red.
Does that camera need turning towards you just slightly?
I'm just going to do that. I think
Okay.
we all need to move across to our seats. We're all not sat on our
There we
seats
go.
properly. There we go. It's fine. Yeah, I don't own anything that's red, but also I'm kind of glad because you guys clash with the seats.
We look like
in
the
the video.
seats,
You
yeah.
do. You look like you're part of the seats.
Can you tell them why you don't own anything red? I know we just told the Disneyland Paris
Yeah.
listeners, but
I'm a Leeds United supporter, and as a Leeds United supporter, please keep listening. As a Leeds United supporter, we don't have anything red in my house. Not really. Not if we can help it. In fact, and I didn't say this on the other show, so it's nice, a little bit of extra here. My son used to play for a football team, and they played in red. And it's part of the reason I was very glad that we left that football club and formed our own club.
Throwing up every Sunday on the sideline.
Yeah, it's not good. So all I could have worn today is a Sunderland shirt because Laura's a Sunderland fan. Well, now she is a Sunderland fan. She just doesn't really follow football, but it's where she's from, so she has a Sunderland shirt. Yeah, but I wasn't going to wear that.
you
It's
couldn't have
not
worn.
happening. It's not happening.
It's like me trying to wear Ravenclaw things. I'm a Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I'm a Ravenclaw. But I don't wear anything to do with Harry Potter. So, have you got any history for this? Because it's brand new.
I do not.
I thought that might be the case.
This is the tradition, isn't it? When we do the new releases, unless there is something particularly, it's a sequel or there's something quite obvious. I just don't, and I can tell you that it's written and directed by the same person who did Bow. Do you remember we did talk about Bow? I think was it before Toy Story 4?
What was it before?
I
can't remember.
Not Toy Story 4, I don't think. Was it Incredibles 2?
Interestingly,
It's something that I didn't see at the cinema. That's why I know
Right.
this, because I didn't see it.
the short, it is a Pixar short, but it's also about a Chinese child trying to escape an overbearing mother.
Oh, there you go. There's a theme.
Well, Chinese American heritage. Yes. So it's written and directed by the same person as that, and it's Pixar, and that's my history.
Well done. That was nice and easy. I won't play that jingle
you
today.
didn't even
then.
need a jingle.
Correct,
for that,
Chris.
did
It was
you?
Incredibles 2.
Oh, there we go. I think I might have heard that somewhere the other day, so that's why I guessed at it. But it was a guess. It didn't come from any place of knowledge whatsoever. Well, in the absence of history, I guess we're going to do what we always do, aren't we? Which is we're going to talk through the film in terms of the story and the animation and the music. Do we want to kick into the kids straight away then? It feels like we're doing this in a very quick manner, doesn't it?
Yeah, when do we do expectations?
Well, we can do expectations. Let's do that first because we're full of expectations. This isn't like the first time we watched something 5 years ago like it has been in the past. This is fresh.
Well, my expectation was, because I've been seeing some things on social media about this, like...
Since it's been released?
Yeah, like a film critic got torn to pieces on Twitter because he said, I think they've kind of limited it a bit because it doesn't appeal to me.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, and it was kind of, there was I'm not saying he is a racist, but there was a racist element in that thinking. He did actually apologise for it, and he seemed very genuine in his apology. But yet, on Twitter just goes, "That's not good enough." So it's there's that kind of controversy about and also on Twitter now, you have to either love something or hate it, and you have to defend that.
In life, it's not just Twitter, is it?
Opinion to the bitter end, don't you? You can't just go, "Oh, it was okay." People go, "No, this is brilliant," and if you don't like it, you're a fool. And people go, "No, it's rubbish," and I'll stand by that. This is Twitter these days.
Yeah.
And then Lucy, you were a bit nervous about watching it because
Well, no, I'll come
you
on to
weren't
that.
sure, were you, if it was appropriate to watch with a child.
You messaged me about that.
But we'll come on to that.
Well, I mean, I'm going to rewind a long way to when the title and the trailer and the concept art and everything first came out. No, I did A-level English literature back in the day, and we did Jane Eyre, and we did the whole analogy of being trapped in the red room. She was she was 12, 13, I believe, and how it was an allegory for your period starting and things like that. And as soon as this came out, I thought, they made a bit of a mistake with that title. They haven't thought that through. That's a bit too, dual meaning there. They don't realise they've done it. And then I grew to realise, oh no, they know exactly what they've done.
So this is the thing for me, and I know we probably planned, or you maybe thought we'd talk about this later on, but the shock that people seem to have had by some of the content of this film surprises me, because right from the start, that's entirely what I expected from the film. It wasn't. It's no shock to me at all.
Yeah.
In any way.
I expected it. Well, this will all come on when it's sorry, but I expected it to be. I mean, like I say, with Jane Eyre and the Red Room, I totally expected it to be a metaphor for that. I didn't. Well, I mean, we'll get onto that later on, but I will also say right here and now, I am a girl with a girl's body, and things have happened to my body when I was a certain age, and so I have a little more experience than you two, but I also don't mind talking about things.
Chris and I are the dad who backs away slowly.
Yes.
Did you were looking down when that bit happened?
I did.
Yeah.
I know about it.
That's us.
It's been repeated.
I'm not.
Are you not?
No.
Are you all about it?
I don't have girls, so.
I also.
No, I'm not at all.
In social occasions, I will talk about anything, and I will talk about it generally, regardless of. Well, I don't mind talking about it when my male friends are around. I might not talk about it in front of my grandma. You know what I mean? But I'm generally quite open about talking about it. However, what prompted the question to you is we watch Grace from Beyond the Trailer. I really enjoy her film reviews. I find her insights. I don't always agree with her, but she always has very well thought out insights. And she said she loved it, fantastic film. She was glad that the story was being told. She says, however, I understand it is every parent's decision how and when these subjects are broached with their female children. And you might want to check it out first to decide if you want your daughter to see this and if this is the right moment for you.
Okay.
And that was the thought. So I thought, oh my goodness, right, I fully plan to be an open parent when the time comes, but do I have to make that decision now on a Sunday afternoon in 2022? Is this the time when the birds and the bees talk's going to come? And it made me a little bit hesitant, and that's why I messaged you, because I knew you'd already watched it. It's like, do I need to think about this? Now, I want it to be very clear right now, because I'm going to talk about this further when we talk about the story. It wasn't, I don't want to see this, I'm disgusted and disgraced, because as you well know, Chris, who's known me for many years, that's out of character. But it was more like, do I seriously have to think about whether this is going to be a proper parenting moment? As it was, she was playing on her iPad and only half watching. Yeah,
and even so, a 7-year-old's not going to get any of that from this film. You take it at face value at 7, don't you?
I think by the time, because the big thing is that they show maxi pads and they talk about maxi pads and they hold them up so that they're really big and centered in the screen. No, I think if a girl is old enough to know what maxi pads are, they're probably going to feel really embarrassed about sitting and watching it with the parents for one. But the horse is already bolted, and if they don't know what maxi pads are, they're not going to know there's anything for themselves to know. Do you know what I mean? You don't know what you don't know, do you?
No,
so
that's
I'm
true.
not entirely sure it would prompt the difficult questions I expected it to prompt. The way I'd heard it was Grace Randolph. The way I'd heard her talk about it, I thought, oh goodness, is this going to be very, you know?
So that whole subject with me, when Claire Rayner came to our house when we were on telly. I've told you've heard this story before. Haven't you? I'm going to tell it anyway. So when Claire Rayner came to our house, for our telly thing, she asked if she could use the toilet. She disappeared upstairs and she came back down and she went, Jackie, that's my mother. She went, Jackie, I love that you have your sanitary towels on display for everybody to see. Now she didn't mean as a display. They're not. Yeah. They weren't in a big glass cage like for everyone to see.
Used.
But my mum always they were always out on display on the bookshelf on the shelf next to the toilet, and that is how it always was in our house. Now my mum has brought us up in a house of trouser. There was me and my 2 brothers and my dad. It's all men everywhere. But she always made sure that we were in touch with what women were and who they are, and you know, had a very, very much, I don't want to say this because it sounds horrible, but a feminist agenda. She always made sure that you know, we were feminists at heart as well, and that's how we've been brought up. Now for me, that also translates to, if mum was out of sanitary towels and I was going to the shop, I would go and buy them for her. So when you say about stepping back and shying away, that isn't me at all.
Yeah, that was just a cute reference to
I know.
to the film.
But then that's then been the same, and I think maybe when me and Laura got together, she was probably a little bit more like taboo about that whole thing than I was. But then as we got to know each other, she realised she didn't need to be. So it's just exactly the same there. Now she doesn't have them out on display for the boys to see, but we don't kind of shy away from any of that. But you're right. When's the right time to talk to your kids about this stuff? It's very difficult to say. But
I didn't want to be accidentally forced into it by a Disney film. That's what I'm saying, basically.
I get that. I guess, again, we'll talk about this when we come to the story, but potentially this could be a very good thing for the future when it is the right time, though, because it's something that's almost relatable that you can then bring back, isn't it? But
I also I'm almost going to contradict myself here a bit, but what Hugh said was it Hugh said? Yeah, Hugh said at the beginning about on the internet you either love it or you hate it. I've also seen quite a few of my very openly feminist friends. Now I think most of my friends are feminists. I'm a feminist myself, but you know, people who actively wear t-shirts with slogans on, those kind of friends. I've seen them saying, we shouldn't be upset about this. We should all be talking about this. Children should learn about this younger, and this is a fantastic thing, and holding it up as an absolutely fabulous, you know, earth-changing moment, but also openly saying it, and anyone who disagrees is wrong and close-minded, and that's the problem with society. That's the kind of stuff I've heard from other people. I totally disagree with that. Totally.
Nuance is dead.
I think, yeah. I think apart from how you brought up and feminism versus misogyny and all this kind of thing, all that aside, some people are just naturally more reserved, naturally more private, naturally a bit more, I don't know if squeamish is even the right word. I think reserved is only the best way to say it, where they're not as comfortable talking about that. And I don't think that's anything to do with, you know, feminism or open conversations or anything. I think it's to do with personality. I don't think it's to do with right or left or liberal, conservative or anything. I think sometimes you've got to allow for personality. And I have got other friends that I would just, I know that they wouldn't be comfortable having a full conversation about their bodies and their time in the months that way. And I don't think for a second it's because they're politically or socially aligned differently to me. I just think it's a character thing. And so I want that to stop as well, basically.
It's funny though. I didn't think I was going to say we're way off topic here. We're not off topic, but it's kind of getting away from film a little bit. But I didn't fully understand the purpose of periods and what it was and what was happening to a woman's body until we started thinking about having children, and I understood where that fit into that entire process, for want of a better word. And I don't feel like that was ever explained properly to me as a child or as a young adult.
Well, that's really interesting. Did you?
Well,
we're getting on to a very different topic now.
We weren't told anything about this at school. I thought it was women wetting themselves until I was like pretty far into my teens. I have no idea what it was.
Obviously, we had the sex ed talk not the sex ed talk, the period talk last year of junior school, and so we understood why, mechanics, all that. Now, if there's one thing that we could say is perhaps this talk should be done co-ed instead of separating.
Well, yeah, possibly.
But, I mean, I don't think we're getting off topic. I just think we need to get all this stuff out of the way.
Let's get out of the way and then we can talk about the film.
We can talk about the film because I think if you've heard anything about this film so far and you haven't watched it and you've been on social media, I think this is what you'll have heard.
Mm-hmm. My first sentence in story that I've got written in my notes is let's get something out of the way.
Yeah.
But it's about something much more trivial.
Okay. True to form.
Yeah.
Well, should we? Is there any more on this? Do we want to?
Let's crack on.
Right. Well, my expectations then were that it was going to be like Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
That was my expectations. Was especially after a couple of the trailers, I thought, well, this seems a lot like Teen Wolf. So that was my expectations going in. It's going to be about Teen Wolf, but it's a girl, and there'll probably be something to do with periods in there. That was pretty much what I thought of it. My expectations going in.
I didn't think there'd be anything about periods. I just thought that it was implied in the name, and it
I
was,
think
and
that's,
it was
yeah,
about
I think that's what I thought.
That critical
Coming of age sort of
Yeah, coming
thing.
of age.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, should we see what the kids thought?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's do that then.
We just watched Turning Red on Disney Plus. It's about a Chinese girl who turns into a panda when she gets too excited or hyper. But there's this thing called Four Town. It's a boy band, but I think their music is rubbish. And they have to make £800, so her and her friends could go as one ticket is £200, so they do it with the red panda. They make it to Four Town, but there was kind of something bad happening, as Four Town was the same night as the ritual to take the panda away from her. And then her mum got mad, and then she turned into a panda, and then like everyone turned into a panda, and they had to do the ritual again. At the end, she decides to keep her panda instead of getting rid of it in a ritual. It was very scary.
What was scary?
Loads of it.
Tell me some bits.
The front part wasn't scary, but the middle was, and the end was. The end. My favourite bit was, I liked it when they were like doing all the pictures and making all that money. I don't have a favourite bit though. May is my favourite character because I like it when she, instead of turning into the red panda, she just has like a cardboard cut out of it. My favourite character is one of the panda's friends because she's really hyper. She's called Abby. There's not much music, so I don't have a favourite. My favourite song was none of them because they were all rubbish and they were all that Four Town thing and it was rubbish.
Not a fan of millennial boy band pop music then?
No.
Okay.
I liked it.
Would you watch it again?
Probably. I'd give it a 4 out of 5 again. I would give it 4 out of 5. In it, the dad says red's a lucky colour, and it's good because my favourite colour used to be red.
Is red? It used to be red.
Used to be red.
When did that change?
A few days ago. So, I give it 0 out of 1. So, 0 add 2 equals 2.
Okay, what's this got to do with turning red?
Nothing, I was just doing maths.
Just for a life update, because I did ask this today, Bonnie's new favourite colour is now pink and purple. And I think it's something to do with the fact that her friends at school, who were previously called the Girl Gang, are now called the Glitter Group.
Wow.
This is the change. Do you know what? Just going back a sec. It was notable that I couldn't find this on Bonnie's account on Disney Plus. It wasn't on the children's account.
Oh, there we go.
So that suggests something, that maybe this controversy, they've just kind of maybe, I don't know if it was already rolled out to that or not, or they pulled it back. I don't know.
What is it Universal? I didn't even see.
Good question. Let's find out.
There's others that are not on there. I mean, notably stuff like Peter Pan and stuff, and there's still universal certificates. They're just choosing not to. I think it's anything that a parent can stumble across and go, I'm not happy about that.
Yes, pretty much. Well,
I can't find out.
well, whilst you're looking into that, Hugh, shall I play the story jingle?
It's PG.
So it's time to discuss how the story goes. I know it can't be worse than Oliver and Coke.
Did you catch that?
I don't know whether it
PG.
cropped up the thing. Yeah.
That's quite a big thing, though, to
PG.
have a Disney film as PG.
I don't know what the other Pixar's are. I'm not
I mean,
sure.
everything's always been.
I'm sure Incredibles 2's PG because they say crap in it.
I don't think that's as naughty a word stateside as it is here, because I've heard them say crap in a few children's things, and I would tell a child off if I heard them say that.
I think it's quite funny when you look back at the films that I used to watch in the 80s that were PG and some of the language in those.
Yeah.
Like Teen Wolf, for
Kids
instance.
are always swearing. Now, that's the thing, right?
They've
Now,
moved them to 12s, haven't they, a lot of them?
I thought this might happen, but speaking of Teen Wolf, you know when I said let's get something out of the way?
Yeah.
I was going to say a teenager reaches a point in their life when in an allegory for puberty they turn into a furry monster, but it transpires that their parent also suffers the same curse. I just described Teen Wolf, so that's going to be a hilarious reveal.
No, I knew
This isn't the first time Pixar have done this.
No.
They do not do due diligence, and
Weekend at Bernie's.
just about every single film is is so much like another film. But is this different enough? Let's find out.
Do they need to, though? I mean, here's a serious question.
Well, they need to have an original idea at some point.
No, they could have
Well, yeah.
rebooted it instead.
But, I
like
mean,
everybody else does at the moment.
Look how many times Jane Austen has been done in modern times. So you've got Clueless is Emma, and
Yeah, but that's like
Yeah, but they say it's based on. It's
that's
like
a known remake though. It's not like
yeah.
Turning Red's based on the classic Teen Wolf, and it's like it's a retelling of Teen Wolf.
But I don't think I enjoy Cars less because it's Doc Holliday. I mean, I don't think I enjoy Cars, to be fair.
Hollywood.
Doc Hollywood. That would be a very different film if it was Doc Holliday, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. But we don't need to talk too much about that, do we?
No. Okay. Go on. What?
Nothing.
What's
Lucy going?
I'm just closing the door.
Oh, okay. I want to start by talking about how immediately likable I found the main character
Yes.
right from the off.
Maybe.
When she breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah, I just immediately got what she was about. She's not. She's like she's not a wishy-washy dreamer.
No.
She's an actual go-getter. Yet at the same time, she's not inexplicably gifted at everything, which is something that they like to do now. She's good at stuff. She's talented. She's clever. She's smart. She's good at maths and everything. But also, she's not quite so good at basketball. You know what I mean? She's got her flaws, but also she's a good, strong character. She's got everything. She's funny. I just really liked it as a character. It's refreshing. She was, she was three-dimensional.
I love the way they introduced the characters at the beginning. It felt. I wrote in my notes. It feels very Ferris Bueller-esque. I'm not sure whether I actually meant that, but but I just love the way that they bring all the different characters in one at a time, show who they all are, and bring it to life. It's great. I was straight away. I was hooked on the film. That first 5 minutes, it threw me straight in, and I was there. I was all in.
Yeah. I particularly liked Abby, which Bonnie did too. She's got that thing where it's something that we all have because I saw it on QI. Whereas if you see something cute, it triggers like an aggressive response in you, which is why people often go, "Oh my god, that puppy's so cute! I just want to squeeze it!" Because there's some kind of crossing of like emotions where it makes you aggressive. So when she rubs her face in. When she first turns into the panda and she goes, "You're so furry!"
Yeah.
She's a fun character.
Oh, I will say, because we will have some new listeners because it's a new film, won't we?
Yeah, potentially.
And we've been criticised for this quite recently.
Oh, yeah.
But we are likely to be quite nitpicky and critical. But I just want to reassure you that for me, I'm going to show my hand early, guys. I really liked this film. So when I'm nitpicking, just chill out. All right, because I did like it.
I feel quite neutral about the story in general. I agree about the characters. The 4 girls, they were just charming and they were realistic and they were believable as friends. I don't like it when the films and TV programs depict friends as having this like insane, really lovey-dovey connection. Friends are people with different personalities who get on together, and I felt that's what these 4 were. Even though she said they were important to her, they're really important to you when you're 13. But they all had separate lives and families and personalities, and I quite liked that. The last film that we reviewed was Ralph Breaks the Internet, and that toxic friendship thing, and we're not talking friendship now, we're talking mother-daughter thing. When she turned into the giant red panda at the end, I felt it very uncomfortable, very overdone. It was too much. It was too much for me. And also, this is yet another film. What was the one that wasn't Disney or Pixar, but they inherited from Fox and they released about 6 months ago?
The one with the robots. Ron's Gone Wrong.
Ron's Gone Wrong. I think that's the one I mean. Yes, Ron's Gone Wrong.
The one where they all have to have the latest mobile phone, but it's not a mobile phone, it's a robot. And it's all about likes
I
and
don't
stuff.
think we've watched Ron's Gone Wrong.
I've watched it. It's
Okay.
good. Is it the one with Will Smith?
No, what's the one with an alien?
Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Mitchell's versus the Machines.
That's
Sorry, watch that.
Netflix though, isn't it?
Right, okay. So, but similar with Mitchell's versus the Machine is it felt too autobiographical. Now I know that nobody has been invaded by robots and all that kind of thing, but the filmmaker was very clear, this is about my relationship with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And you got that in the screenwriting, and in this case this was definitely this is about my relationship with my mum. And whilst I do think that writers do the best work when they're do
Write what you know.
Write what you know, do something personal to you. Onward was about his relationship with his brother, and his dad had died and all that kind of thing. It gets to when it's so clear that that's what it is, I start to feel a little bit detached from it because it's somebody else's therapy. I think the most useful themes for films are ones that everybody can latch onto and say that means something to me in that way. But I felt like the dynamics were so specific, and I felt the same about the other 2 films I've mentioned, that I didn't feel it was universally accessible because I felt like it was someone else's experience.
So when you were watching this, did you already know that it was his experience, or is that what you got from watching the film?
That's what I got from watching the film.
Right, okay.
And it's her.
Sorry, her, yeah, sorry.
And then I read, I hope it was her. and then I read about it afterwards, and yeah.
Right, okay.
But I'd already felt that. It's like you don't write a script like that unless you have experience of parents within Chinese cultures and the overbearing mothers and so on and so forth. And yeah, that was just it. But I enjoyed the journey. I loved the panda. I loved all the fun elements. I think I enjoyed the moments more than I enjoyed the overarching themes.
Yeah, because as a story, if you take the thematic elements out of it, as a story, it goes at a lick of a pace. It's kind of straightforward getting from A to B, A to Z in terms of what the story is. What I think they do incredibly well is the exposition. So things like when they the whole culture piece they basically do with a tour of the place.
Yep.
And they bring these people in and explain it all in there. Now they had, in a musical obviously did have a song about it, but quite often in these kind of films they labour that stuff far too much, and it becomes heavy and dull and difficult to take. And whereas I think the whole cultural
Inside Out.
yeah, I think the whole cultural piece of it, the way that they brought that into it was very kind of natural. It just slotted in and fitted at the right times in the film, which meant that this adventure that these kids were having was forefront. So yeah, the themes are all there, and the relationship with the mother is there the whole way through it. But as a kid watching this, you're not focusing on that at all. You're seeing these kids having this
because
amazing time.
Put the allegory aside, put the relationship stuff aside. It's about 4 kids trying to save up some money to go to a concert.
This is the thing.
I love that.
If yes, exactly. And if this was, let's say they did a half-hour cartoon series on Disney Plus, and it was about the exploits of these 4 friends, and they had loads of elements that were in this film, like you say, them saving up money to go to the concert, and them, sneaking up to the window to look at the boy, I would be all over that. I thought that was fantastic. It was just the key story in it's like this episode. I didn't like this episode, but I'll watch next episode because I liked the characters. I think that's what I'm saying.
I will say, just to be specific about this, the relationship with the mother. I found the mother's like going from finding the notebook and then immediately grabbing it and going through the sketches and then storming off, subsequently having like this big confrontation with that kid in the shop. I just thought it was so unrealistic, and it was in danger at that point of losing me a bit. And I just thought it's completely leapt from that into this confrontation, and I thought it was a little bit simplistic in the storytelling. Like it was heavy-handed.
It's interesting that you say that because
it went from nothing. She had a book poking up the bed. She finds that she gets the book out, which is unrealistic. Like your mum sees the book on the floor, you won't go, "Oh, what's that?" Pick it up. Then you wouldn't leaf through it. Then you wouldn't have such a massive reaction that you'd go off and storm and shout at some kid in the shop when it's obviously not his fault. That was too much.
Yes, it's interesting you say that because, and maybe this is a cultural thing, because as you know, I like the Gilmore Girls. It's something I've talked about quite a few times. I bring it up quite often on this show.
It needs a jingle, Chris.
but I do like the Gilmore Girls, and in the Gilmore Girls there are some side characters. There's a girl called Lane and her mum, and their Korean family, and she does everything on the face of it that her mum wanted to do, but she lives effectively a second life that her mother knows nothing about, and when she finds out about it, she snaps. And in actual fact, it's a very, very similar. It's played out very similarly without the pandas, and there's a learning journey as well. Like there's a story arc for the mother as well that she realizes that the way that she's behaving to her daughter is the same way that her mother behaved to her, which again is the same as it is in this film. And so it must be it has to be a cultural thing because it seems to be. I know Korean Chinese not the same, but I think there has to be something. So to say it's unrealistic,
no. I mean,
is to say it's something that you've not necessarily experienced. But
I get that as well. No, I mean, one of our best friends, I know all about the relationship with her Chinese parents, and I do appreciate that some of this stuff I do know about, I've been told about. I just think,
and that family, we've been invited to family celebrations with that family as well.
I'm just saying the way it was here. It was
heavy-handed.
So ramped up from nothing to like having to get to that point. It was too much for me.
I'm glad that they established that mother and daughter had a good relationship first, though.
Yeah.
If they hadn't established that and just that she was a strict mum and then that happened, it would be very hard to be sympathetic for the rest of the movie, I think.
Do you know what made me laugh?
No.
Was when she does a presentation to her parents of why she should go to see Four Town, but it's cut in such a way that you don't see the presentation. She's just finished presenting it, and then she's told, "No, you can't go." It made me laugh.
Yes, I liked that.
It was well cut together.
And I liked that none of the friends were allowed to go, and the only one who was had to pay for it. That whole weaving. It's because it would have been if it would just her who couldn't go and the others were allowed, it would have been too stark a difference.
This is another thing which is a similar point to my previous one was the conflict of like, right, I need to go to this concert, but also, that's the night of the ritual. I just think, yes, when you're at that age, going to a concert is the biggest thing in your life. That's all you want to do. But I'm thinking, if she knows the ritual's coming up, again, I didn't quite believe that she wouldn't have just gone, with a heavy heart, I'm going to have to go to this ritual, guys. It's very important.
Do you know?
It's about this giant panda that comes out of me. I just thought, don't quite buy that. And again, I get that it is important, but I don't think it's that important.
I think at the beginning of it she might have done, but by this point she'd been living a second life as the panda
Yeah,
and was
absolutely right.
quite comfortable with being the panda, and she was thinking, do I want to not be a panda more than I want to see Far Town?
Yeah, but I mean, that wasn't said to us, was it? That's just us thinking, maybe.
No, I think
got that.
I think I got that as well, and I think it had come to a point of conflict where, because it wasn't like they had loads of time to think about it at that point. They literally went, oh damn it, we've got the dates wrong. And if you're really excited to be going and doing something, like, I don't know, like if there's a musical going to be on and you want to audition for the lead role in that musical, and it's one of your favourite musicals, Company, for instance, by Stephen Sondheim, right? And you really fancy going and audition for it, and you go to the first music rehearsal before auditions, and you put in your slot for the audition, and then you find out that actually you're coaching kids on a football tournament on the Saturday of the show, so you can't actually go for it. It's relatable. You know, you'd be gutted about that, and you know the conflict, but you realise, you've got to do something about it. You can't do both, and so I get it. I related to that
Is it
totally.
something you want to talk about, Chris?
No, I don't want to talk about that.
But in that instance, in this film, she would have gone to the audition, but you didn't because you had something more important to do. Yeah,
but I went through an awful lot of discussions with people about how I could find a way around it so I could do both. An awful lot. Before I came to that.
By the way, it's a
decision.
similar thing, but it's a different outcome. That's what I'm saying. It's like I didn't believe the outcome anyway. Was there a bit at the start which told us when this was set? Because it got to a certain point, and I thought, when is this set? And as soon as I wrote that down, there was a shot of loads of people holding up Nokia bricks. And then there was a Tamagotchi thing later, which
it's 2002, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think there was something at the start, because I think I've read somewhere that there was, but I didn't notice anything.
I think again, it's the director's. It's autobiographical.
Yeah.
Basically. So it's.
But do you know what? It's weird to think, isn't it, that 2002 is now nostalgic.
They were giving each other CDs. This is
I remember
another
being
thing.
in that time and thinking, well, we'll never look back fondly on this.
It's
And we totally do.
3 years earlier, we were giving each other mixtapes. And then they were giving each other mixed CDs. And I thought, that makes it quite specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. If this is passed down through generations, wouldn't there be like thousands of them by now?
Yeah, they have a normal lifespan, though.
Do you know that thing, how we're all related to...
Oh, I see what you're saying. Alfred the
So
Great.
we'd all be
You know what I mean?
pandas
It only
now.
Charlemagne.
It's only removed like a few times, and exponentially, there'd be like hundreds of thousands of people would be red pandas, hundreds of thousands of women.
I see
Again, that's one of my little nitpicks. I'm sorry, I did like the film.
What else?
I really liked the ant characters. I presume they were ants. Was that explained?
Yeah, they were
she
ants.
just
Yeah,
said,
it was
I'm
explained,
bringing reinforcements. The way they all turned up, just the style of them, the presence of them. I just really liked them, and I felt like I understood who they were in the story.
And the way they all kind of, because when they turn up, they're all fussing, aren't they, and everything, and then their grandmother, their mother turns up, and she's just like full on forceful matriarch. But the way that they all come together as pandas at the end to pull her back into the circle is quite I don't know what the word is. I'm going to say noble. That's not noble because it's the sister, isn't it? But it's just nice.
You kind of felt that big battle coming up at the end. I didn't mind it though, even though it was kind of Hollywood standard by now. Let's see, we need to have some epic battle at the end. I thought it was well done.
It was just too Ralph Breaks the Internet for me.
It was the same thing, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a funny thing. I
don't know if I would have made that connection if we hadn't watched it and reviewed it so recently.
But that's exactly what I said to Laura while we were watching it.
And we discussed it in detail as well.
In fact, I said it to Ollie. I said it's not as scary as that giant Ralph in Ralph Breaks the Internet.
And they got off very lightly with the authorities at the end because she's been running around as a panda and everyone knows who she is. And then when a giant panda attacks the
a stadium full of
the concert dome thing,
yeah.
They're raising some money at the end. They don't seem to be in any trouble.
No trouble at all.
A bit incoherent. But, kids' film. Bonnie, enjoyed it for what it was. She's not going to be thinking that, is she? But then, I don't know. What's my gripe? Should they have been arrested? No.
The bamboo forest at the... Well, it appears twice, doesn't it? But particularly at the end, when she was with the mother. When the mother was there and young and sobbing, that really got me. And the only thing I can say is it's watching someone else cry. I think that's all it was. You're watching, and it was such a realistic cry, and it was such a meaningful cry that I cried.
But what it didn't do? It didn't try to make you cry continuously throughout the film.
For the sake of it, no.
I think they've finally grown out of that, of Pixar.
Certainly the last couple of films they have, haven't they?
Yeah.
They haven't started with, right, how do we get them to cry this time?
Yeah.
It's like, if that's a happy byproduct, then that's successful. It's not the starting point anymore, which is just, it was so draining, wasn't it?
I know you'll save yours to the end, Hugh, because you've got a jingle for it, but the thing that got me emotionally wasn't really anything to do with the film. It was more at the end, towards the end of the film, when she's talking to her mother about, how she's going to do things the way that she wants to do them and stuff. It made me suddenly realise that in like 4 years' time, I will have a 13-year-old son, and I just thought, it's as a parent of pre-parenthood, I always thought I'd be fine with young kids. I'm worried about what happens when they reach the teenage years and how I can be relatable with them and still be a parent and a friend. And
just
stuff
a cool
as well.
dad.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm cool dad.
And so that whole bit just that to me just that upset me, because I just started thinking I don't even know how to deal with that.
That's why When She Loved Me gets me, and it's not Jessie being left aside.
Yeah.
It's the reason she's been left aside is because the kid's growing up and getting into different things, and I'm like, I might be that Jessie doll under the bed. When Bonnie gets into makeup and things, and I'm just like, oh, go away. And also, I learned not so long ago that when they reach a certain age, the smell of your father becomes disgusting to you. So biologically, it means there's no chance of there being any sort of cross breeding. So there's gonna be a point where she finds me repellent.
That's something to look forward to.
So there's that.
She'll be joining the rest of us.
No, but hopefully it'll be fine, and I won't be left under a bed gathering dust like a doll.
So, should we score this?
Yes.
Go on then.
Well, you know what? Aside from my story niggles, my little incoherent inconsistencies here and there, I just really enjoyed it so much. And the real test is, do I want to watch it again? I can't wait to watch this again. I'd watch it again now, because there's lots to look at. It's enjoyable. It's funny, and it's a good romp. I give it 8.
I think it's one of the best Pixar films in a long time. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and just like you, Hugh, I'm looking forward to watching it again. In fact, when we finished watching, because we watched it in 2 sittings, and when we finished watching it on Friday, I was already thinking that I would watch it again yesterday. I didn't get a chance to, but that I'd watch it again yesterday. But I think that this will become a staple in the house for a while. Maybe not quite as watched as Encanto, because you can't help but watch Encanto over and over.
I've only seen it once.
It's brilliant.
I've got to the point now, by the way. Oh, sorry, 8. I'll talk about that in a minute, Lucy.
I enjoyed the experience of watching the film and the moments in the film and being with the characters more than I enjoyed the story as a whole. If I had to retell the story from beginning to end in 50 words or less, I want that taken with that. So I'm gonna mark it at a 7, which is a little lower than you guys, because we're separating story from the other elements. But I do want to press home that I enjoyed it too.
Cool.
So afraid of that 1-star review that I keep having to say, I did like it though. That 1-star review we got that said, "Oh, they can't go 30 seconds without picking it to pieces."
I mean, we get an hour podcast out of a film we've seen once usually. So
These critiques keep critiquing.
I watch certain channels and listen to certain podcasts because they pull it apart. I enjoy that, and some people out there will too.
Animation?
Yes, please.
Look at the animation, you, the characterization, you, and don't forget the background and the style. Yeah, man.
Yes.
Well, we talk a lot about how Pixar can't really do anything wrong these days in terms of visuals and stuff, but to me, there are so many little bits in this that I love. Just the little things that they do, and most of it is cultural nods to like manga style and those kind of things that just work so well. I absolutely love this film visually. I love it.
And they pepper them. It's not it's not in your face all the time.
Yeah, they're not overdoing it. It's just every now and again they throw it in.
It's sophisticated the way they've done that.
Yeah.
this is exactly it. They're at a level now where they can do photorealism. They don't always choose to do photorealism, but it's just like, what do we want to show on screen? We can do it, and we can do it perfectly, and they do. Mm-hmm. And we've been waiting for film after film after film for them to bring something unique and different and creative to us. And you're right, this is it. The character design, but I want to bring up specifically the Toronto skyline at the end.
Yeah.
Do you know what they've done? They've made it iridescent.
Love a bit iridescent, don't they?
In true Disney Park style, they'd made it iridescent.
The credits were a bit iridescent as well.
It was really...
It's the in flavour.
Just absolutely stunning in that respect. And also, they made that red panda seem so tactile.
You just want to cuddle it.
Oh,
you?
yeah.
I liked the way she grabbed her belly and shook it. That was good animation. Yeah. I want to say Toronto. I mean, I love the location as well. Like, it's just, it's fresh, but also at the same time, you're in a Chinese community, so it's just something a bit different. And that critic who said, "Well, this doesn't appeal to me," you're like, well, either you're an idiot because does toys? This is the argument. It's like, do you think toys represent you then? Like what? Or Bugs Life? ants. That.
Why does it need to be relatable?
Exactly. But then conversely, you can watch this and go, well, this isn't a part of the world I've actually been to. I've not been to Toronto. I've never been to like a Chinatown in Toronto. So it's like, well, great, show me it. I'm glad to see it.
I'm just a bit concerned now with the comment I made about story might be taken that I meant it that way. Now, I'm not put off by watching a different culture represented. I mean, we just talked about Encanto, which I flipping adore. Totally different culture being represented there. The point is not that it's a different culture, it's that it's somebody else's life experience.
I think you got that across.
Is that all right?
I think that was clear.
Good.
Yeah. Don't worry yourself.
Checks out.
Disclaimers there.
Thank you.
Hugh, can I ask you, by the way, one of the things that I was most impressed with, and I don't know why this was, again, it's little things, maybe this will be a favourite bit, but it's when she's drawing in the book. Just the way because you're so used to animated things when they draw and the pencil line appears a few seconds afterwards or whatever, and it's just not quite. It still looked animated. It wasn't photorealism, but it just worked so well. It was just seamlessly beautiful to look at.
I might have to watch that again.
It was great.
I do know the bit you're talking about, but I didn't sort of notice the way it was been drawn.
Maybe the pencil was a little bit too chunky. If there was anything to criticise it for, I'm not going to mark it a point down for that though.
Dad's cooking was, for me, the new Woody's makeover. And I wish it was like 4 times longer. He was just cooking with those ingredients. I was like, oh, this is nice to watch. But it was so short. It was mere seconds. And I just thought, I want lots more of that. But then in that, they were using like, a lot of depth of field and sort of macro lens type stuff. And that was the new stuff that you're looking out for. You're like, what's different? What gets this the top marks in our review process? Is like those bits that are just, like you said before, like just something different, and it was that for me.
Yeah.
I liked it. I mean, could be story, but it's also animation. The way it's observed is those little videos that Lucas mentioned them that they were making when they were doing it with the panda, and the way that they danced and the way that they interacted with each other. That's all well observed human behaviour, which is what animators do so well, but it was particularly well done in this.
It wasn't just that though either. It's there's not. Well, I can't even speak. There's not just the cultural elements of the location and the people, but there's the period there as well, and all of it is being done to such a fine level of detail. I mean, it really is. You're taken to 2002 Toronto, Chinatown. That's ridiculously specific.
Yeah.
And yet you're completely and utterly immersed in it. Oh yeah, I think it's blooming-tastic animated. I just do.
One of my favourite sequences was the way she first turned when she was in the classroom. Really dramatic burst. But then I did think, why is no one turning around? She bursts into all this pink smoke around her, and they're all looking out the window, and no one goes, "Oh, what's that? What's that noise and that stuff coming from behind?" No one turns around. But that's my only little niggle there. Heavy bean mouth. We've discussed bean mouth before. The Callas
that's
thing.
definitely stayed, hasn't it?
It's like people. Again, some people on social media just hate the bean mouth style. Just look up bean mouth if you don't know what we're talking about. Steven Universe, Wonderful World of Gumball,
Gravity Falls.
Yeah, about sort of 10 years ago, it
Luca.
was all the rage, and that's it. Luca, it seems to have made its way into the CG world now. I don't mind bean mouth, and as I said before, I occasionally use it in my work. But it's worth noting.
Limited appeal, I reckon.
If you're sensitive to bean mouth, this might not be for you.
Do we know when John Lasseter's influence ran out? When he left? Well, obviously he'd greenlit certain projects,
right, okay.
and he had input on certain projects, and then we're going to get to a point where we're on to projects he had nothing to do with. Because it really feels like we're entering a new phase.
It feels like he's been gone for a long time to me.
It does now. I'm just looking it up.
Yeah. He's been gone for a long time, I think.
Yeah.
He hasn't, though. I mean, in terms of movies, I'm just looking up when he went because I can't remember off the top of my head. 2018. Now, in terms of movies, particularly with COVID, 4 years is nothing.
No.
So he probably did have something to do with this.
But, in the later stages, though, he's probably just greenlighting things and then going around hugging people.
But what I'm saying is I get a real feel now that we've entered an entire new era. We talk about the golden age and the silver age and the renaissance. I think you never know when you're switching from one era to the other until after it's happened, do you? But I think when do you think kind of post Moana, definitely post Ralph Breaks the Internet, I think that'll be kind of, I feel like there was a new phase coming in both Disney and Pixar. I'm talking.
Yeah.
We had a few dark years with Pixar, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I don't know. You might be right. Time will tell.
Yeah.
One little thing for me as well. There's a bit when she's a panda, maybe one of the first times, and she's crying, and I noticed this. The tears just stay in her fur, and you can just see them like stuck in her fur. And again, I just thought it was beautiful. Sad, but it was beautiful.
They're artists and technicians. These people. Is that my stomach?
Yes.
I thought it was a baby crying somewhere.
No, it's been crying for a long time here as well.
I keep hearing it and going, "What's that noise?" I don't realise it's me.
I sprang out of bed because I heard a door creak the other day, and I went downstairs and I checked the whole house. I was really convinced there was someone in our house. And then the following morning, I heard the same noise again. I realised it was Hugh's dodgy stomach.
We have cats outside our house that make a noise that sounds just like Ollie crying. So on very many occasions, I've gone up to check on Ollie and he's fast asleep because the cats are outside fighting. Blooming cats. Score it?
Yep.
10.
Now, have I any reason not to give it a 10? I don't think I do. I think it's a 10 from me as well.
I think it is.
10.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was easy, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to give that a 10. I thought it was going to be a 9 or something, and then no.
There you are. Music.
So do do so me do do me so do do so me do. We are going to talk about the music hits, rate the songs and score the incidental bits.
There's something rattling on the table and we're trying to work out what it is. I think it's the laptop. This is great for
Might
the
be
listeners.
my
I
microphone.
think it might be Lucy's microphone
Right,
because
okay.
it's on the
It's on the breaking the leaves.
the leaves.
What music?
The K-pop music.
It wasn't K-pop.
Well,
it was,
okay.
It was Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, Backstreet Boys, boy band music.
Yeah.
Now the thing is about that, and I know what Lucas is saying. It was
Rubbish.
very, very well observed because I really felt like that song they kept singing was a really familiar song from back in the day.
My mind. Is that what it goes?
Yeah,
My
the
mind. I don't know
the
what
instruments they
lyrics
used, the bridge, the everything about it. I really felt like a boy band song.
I wrote one for the Beano a few weeks ago.
Did
and,
you?
Even though it was just had to be the lyrics in the comic strip, I had a tune for it, and it went, "Ice cream girl, my strawberry swirl, you and me gonna change the world."
There you go.
I'm my ice cream girl.
That's the kind of thing we're talking about there. And I'm not going to say we're going to listen. I absolutely am not going to listen to this soundtrack in my car. However, the writer of it, the brief he was given is write songs that sound like an early noughties boy band.
Mm-hmm.
And he absolutely hit the nail
Nailed
on
it.
the head.
Do you know who the composer is?
Go on.
Ludwig Göransson.
Is that the score or the songwriting?
The score, well, it'd be the score because you know who that is.
No.
No.
Oh, is that Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Ah.
Love his music, and actually, I got to a point in this where I thought, this I have to not even notice any music, and then I quickly looked up, and I was like, oh, and then I started to notice his little styles, and then I thought back to the intro, and I thought, yeah, actually, there is some moments of glory here to be found.
The songs were written by Billie Eilish and her brother, weren't they?
That's true.
Mm.
Yeah,
Who's
the
also
pop songs.
who's a celebrity in his own right, but I can never remember his name. It's like Phineas or
Ferb.
I did see Billie Eilish in the credits. I didn't realise she was writing. I just
Yeah.
thought she was contributing. That's interesting.
yes. I thought the music was all right. It just took me back to a time when I hated music.
Yeah.
Because everything that was around in that period of time was like that. It wasn't good.
That's why I just.
Or the in the UK the later end, the back end of Britpop, which was just awful.
Well, I used obviously you all know I'm a dance teacher, and so I shop for music to use in class, and I used to just go and get the whatever the latest Now CD was, Now 79, Now 98, whatever. Every couple of years I'd get one, so I got some new warm up music, and there was a period when I would listen to the first 8 bars of every track and go, nah, I don't like that. Nah, I don't like that. And I just couldn't find anything to even sort of jog on the spot to warm the kids up. It was awful. This is that period. Also, we're in X Factor and Pop Idol period, aren't we?
Yeah.
When they dominated all charts.
Yep.
But it's
But
not
let's-
our job to like it.
No, I
It's
agree with that.
historically accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we shouldn't critique the music in this because of X Factor.
They,
It's not their fault.
they could also have made a really big mistake and made these songs all tongue-in-cheek
Yes.
parodies, and they didn't. They've written proper songs that
Yes.
fit the
Because
artist.
That's the difference between people writing comedy who are just trying to be funny, but they don't quite get it. Like the humor here is the fact that it's spot on.
yeah.
Because those girls really are genuine fans of that band. And
Mm-hmm.
whilst I didn't like the music, it was good enough music to believe that they would be.
If they were
Yeah.
singing "Ice Cream Girl, My Strawberry Swirl," then it wouldn't have worked.
So it's
Or a
Billie
place
Eilish
called
and
Slaughter
Phineas
Race.
O'Connell. And they wrote 3 songs.
There we go.
Do you know what? Reading them written down.
Oh, right. It was Phineas.
Reading them written down, what's occurring to me is it's You Know What's Up with the letter U.
Ooh, yeah.
One True Ballad with not the letter one, the number one.
The letter one.
One True Ballad. And then Nobody Like
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah. Text
So-
talk.
Yeah, so that's again, that's well observed
Yeah.
in itself, isn't it?
You know what's up.
It reminds me of, there's an episode of Sonic Boom, which is on Netflix if you've not watched it, where
There's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Boom.
Sonic
Yeah.
Boom.
And what happens in it is this the record companies are basically trying to brainwash everybody. So they get this artist in called Justin Bieber, and he sings lots of songs of this
I've heard
kind
about
of era.
this.
And it's quite funny, but it's parody songs, so it isn't done seriously. Like these songs are, it's definitely, you know, over the top, taking the mick. But this is what this reminds me of completely.
The kids didn't like it though, did they?
No,
Well, Bonnie just didn't like notice any.
I was
music.
proud of Lucas. I was proud of him for hating it because I didn't feed him with that at all. I just didn't feed him with it, and he does like pop music. You know, he likes things like George Ezra or whatever he's called. Is that what he's called?
Ezra,
yeah. See, I don't know what he's called because he's not.
Oh,
worth the
you're
time
such
of day.
a dad.
I know he likes George Ezra, and things like that. But he doesn't like this, and that's good. So there's still hope for him yet.
I like the idea
That's what I'm
of
saying.
Bonnie getting into a band like that, and me just sort of like wanting to feel involved, kind of like on the sly, listening to it as well. You know, feel like maybe it's something we can enjoy together. And her being like, "Oh, Dad."
I was so
It's not let loose though, is it?
so into Take That when I was 30. Like the original incantation of Take That, not what they turned into when it was 5 of them and they used to dance. I loved Take That.
Yeah. When I was that age, it was Let Loose and Boys to Men. That's what everybody was listening to.
I bought the first 3 Spice Girls singles.
Oh,
I bought the Ace of Base album. I think everyone bought that though, didn't they? Did everybody buy the first Ace of Base album, like in the world? I think they did.
first cassette single I bought was Bizarre Inc.
Oh, mine was Gal Wine by Chacademas and Pliers.
It Must Have Been Love by Roxette.
This is a fun game. Bizarre Inc.
Oof.
What was your first CD?
Ash 1977.
I was
Oh.
on tapes for a long, because I had a Walkman. So CDs, I didn't buy CDs till a long time after CDs came out, and I can't remember.
Mine was M People. It was the one with the album with Moving On.
I had a Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette on cassette, and I listened to it so much that it started. It didn't out and out break. It just.
I had Ice Ice Baby. I had the Vanilla Ice album on cassette.
The first 2 CDs I owned were Bob Marley ones, but they weren't ones I'd bought for myself. The ones I'd kind of stressed interested in, and my dad bought them for me. But the one I went to a record shop, Andy's Records,
Andy's Records.
with a gift token from work experience, was Ash 1977.
Good
That's
choice.
A great album.
Oh, you see,
Do you
this has
remember
got
the
us
time you
nostalgic
were
about
from
our
Mars?
our
Although not about the Black Girl from
mid-teens.
Mars, to be honest.
No, I get that.
Or the Kung Fu one.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
bought Common People on cassette.
Oh, you see it. Did they still do cassettes then?
It was a pulp single. I'm sure it was Common
yeah,
People.
It would have been on
yeah.
cassette. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we score this then?
Yeah. Oh, I haven't got a score. Yeah, I have. But it's Lucy's turn.
Go on, Lucy.
Okay. If I'm honest, I don't remember the score, which probably means it was good, but not great. Because if it's bad, you notice it, don't you? And I just thought they did a good job on the style of the music, whilst not liking it myself. So I'm going to give it a 6.
I've given it a 6 too. There's not a great deal to take away, but actually, when you, I'm going to go back and maybe listen to some of the Ludwig Göransson stuff again because he is good. 6.
I think it does everything that it needs to absolutely brilliantly. I don't really remember the songs, but then I would choose not to remember the songs because I think that kind of music's rubbish, like my son. I'm going to give it an 8.
Not that your son's rubbish, but you think it's rubbish as he does.
If that's the way that you want to interpret what I just said.
I know what my first CD
What did you give
was.
8.
8.
It was Jamiroquai because the boy I liked at school liked it. So that's very on theme, isn't it, for today's episode?
There we go.
Favourite bits?
Favourite bits. Oh, shall I play the jingle?
Yeah.
These are my favorite bits. These are my favorite. These are my favorite bits. What's yours? These are my favorite.
You can start talking at the top of this bit now. Thought I'd done a bit where it's like, Go on then, you.
Well, I think I mentioned mine earlier, which is when Abby goes, "This is so furry."
Yeah,
That was
my favourite bits I mentioned earlier as well, and that was the little videos they were doing. But specifically, an honorary mention to when the dad finds the videos and says, "That made me laugh." That choked me up a bit, but it was nice and it was real.
That was really nice, was that bit actually. I like the tears getting caught in the thing, and I really like the pencil drawing. I loved the look of that. The aesthetics were bang on for me. But any of those times that those girls were just doing stuff and having fun, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. In fact, I didn't say this before, but one of the things that I did think was, growing up, the films that I loved were things like Teen Wolf, Goonies, High School USA, and these are all boys. They're all boys, and women women used as objects the whole way through all of them. And I might not be able to relate to 13-year-old girls, but boy, did I enjoy being on that journey.
They've got
with them.
stories worth telling. Yeah, Stand By Me and all this. This pre-man boy thing was it was a big thing when we were young, and they had loads of them. But you're right, it's really nice.
We've been watching Mighty Ducks. We've been watching Mighty Ducks recently, and there are girls in that, and they use them a lot better than they do in some of these films. But again, very male oriented. But it's nice to see something that's.
And we mentioned the girl gang that are now called the Glitter Group earlier, which is Bonnie's friends at school. There are 4 of them, and they could easily be these 4 girls in 6 years, couldn't they? They are just they've got the whole thing going on.
I actually I said the wrong bit for.
You did, because you didn't score it, did you? You didn't give us a score.
No, for my favourite bit.
Oh.
It wasn't that bit that Abby says. It's when she says, "My mom cuts his hair in the salon. I touched it, and it's very soft."
Yeah.
That bit. I liked that bit. I've got a score.
Yeah.
And a cry factor. I can't remember which one we do first.
We normally do the score before we do favourite bits and cry factor. It's currently scoring 7.1 on IMDb, just so that you know.
Shall I look up Rotten Tomatoes? I haven't done my thing.
And
wait, do you know there's a story here? It got bombed on Rotten Tomatoes. You know when people get other people to do those scores to just to warp it.
Yeah.
And for a long time it was in the 50s. I wonder if it's gone back up again.
Well, interestingly as well, I know we don't normally talk about this, but on IMDb, the Metascore that comes from critic reviews is 83 out of 100, and there are so many hundreds and 90s reviews here. It's scoring incredibly high.
Right, so so on Rotten Tomatoes, critics 95%, similar to what you just said, they love it, and the audience score has managed to get back up to 73%. But it was, like I say, within 48 hours of it being released on Disney Plus, there was what's the word? An organised event. I don't know.
Organised event.
I'm trying to think. A campaign, that's the word I'm looking for. There was a campaign to get it to bomb it, basically.
Right.
And it was going really, really low.
Do you know why? Why?
It's people who'd not seen it, heard the word periods Disney film, and got really upset without looking into it. Now, to be fair, we talked about, I got a little perturbed when I heard all this myself.
Do you know what though? I thought about this. The video that you watched with that review on it, what she's saying there isn't, you know, it's kind of good that she's saying, you know, have a think about it and see whether it's something you want.
And she loved the film.
Yeah.
She loved it.
Did she point out though that like our experience was that it would go over most children's heads?
Well, that's what I said to you, wasn't it? That
yeah.
I think in a similar way that animated films these days try and make sure that there's adult humor in there as well, while keeping it balanced for the kids. The fact that that's in there, unless they know about it, I don't think it was done in such a way that it would trigger questions necessarily, unless you were of an age.
I can't say with any certainty that I would have picked up on that had I not known. Honestly, because sometimes you just let films wash over you and just go, you take it at face value, but then also, like, there's varying degrees of this allegory, isn't there? Where it could be about this specific thing, or it could be about this angle. It could be, it could be about emotions more than the biology, physical biology. I don't know.
I think there was also the thing where they were dealing with this 13-year-old girl having sexual urges as well, which she is. Let's face it, that's what all the hiding.
Yeah, but if it had been a boy doing that in thing in an animated film, nobody would have batted an eyelid, and that's the frustrating thing about this. That's wrong, isn't it? It's just plain wrong.
It is. But I just going back 50 years to the life of Brian. Most of the people who get upset about it haven't seen it. They've just heard.
Or Minnie Mouse wearing trousers.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting upset, Cry Factor Hugh.
It's absolutely beautiful. He really loves it. I don't know why they just can't be together.
Hugh's Cry Factor.
I mean, we did say before that it's not a big weepy. And they seem to have moved away from that. Again, I've used this word earlier, but they get a bit more sophisticated about that. I did get choked up, though, when she looked back and realised she didn't want to lose the panda. You know. And also the bit where she's shouting at Mum about, this is who I am, deal with it. I thought that was, But it's not a massive Pixar weepy, and I'm glad. But I've given it a 3. And 3 teardrops sounds like this. I'm going with the finger.
Not bad.
That was not bad. So it was
Not
a finger
bad at
one.
all. Well, there we go. That brings this show to an end. And we kind of have plans for things we're going to do in the future. We've got
guys.
Oh,
Our score.
have we not said our score?
It's 81.
I think
that's good.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's about where I think it should be.
Great score.
Great score. Where does that put it in league with?
I don't know. Let's have a look. You'd be talking. Oh well, it's one above Aladdin,
Oh gosh.
Cinderella was that 81?
one above
No.
one above the Lion King.
Do you know the thing is with those Renaissance ones?
Pinocchio is 81.
When you
Pinocchio.
look back at them critically, it's the animation, and you don't think so, and it shouldn't affect it really.
Luca was 81.
There you go.
I'm
That's
surprised
interesting.
Did we give it that higher
Maybe
score?
that could I could go for another watch of Luca. Maybe.
Ooh.
Once Upon a Snowman, 82.
Oh, it's lovely as Once Upon a
So
Snowman.
nestled in between those.
Once Upon a Christmas.
Frozen, Once Upon a Snowman.
Oh, Once Upon a Snowman. Oh,
Yeah.
the Frozen one. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Bedknobs and Broomsticks, 80.
There we go. Well,
Just a smattering of examples there.
that's brought the show to an end instead then.
Yes.
That's good. I'm glad we gave the score out. That would have been a bit remiss of us to leave it out. We have got a Marvel show planned, haven't we? We just need to give our scores to Lucy so that she can do some magic with them, and then we're going to have
Do it.
We're
we're
gonna
going to do all the Marvel.
do them
films.
all, but we're gonna rank them all based on the average of our 3 scores.
Yeah.
The median average? No, it won't be that. The mode?
Mode.
No. What's the other one?
Medium.
Mode.
Medium.
Median mode.
Medium mode.
Mean.
Mean. It's gonna be the mean
Thank
average.
goodness. There we go.
I thought
That'd
you'd
go,
already
yeah.
said mean, but
No,
I think you say median now. I was
It's,
paying
yeah.
attention.
it's the mean average of our score.
Yes.
That's not
It is-
important.
it is mean.
What's important is we're gonna quickly go through all the.
But then after that,
Marvel
we're
films.
going to presumably, when it gets to Doctor Strange, I think we'll do a proper review of it, won't we? With
Yeah.
points and all.
Yeah.
It's just a good way for us to catch up with the other ones so that we can get somewhere close to having a ranking system.
It'll be lively.
Yeah. But in the meantime, we don't know what else we've got planned, really. I put a message out to our Disney Street pals the other week saying that we quite like the idea of doing something where every now and again we'll do a film that you guys choose and we have to go and watch it and score it so we can go back over some of the older films. But I'm going to ask the guys who are Disney Street pals to do that, I think, initially, and we'll kind of see how that goes.
Something weird, please.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, we've watched so much stuff on Disney Plus, and I've been thinking to myself, if we were reviewing this, I would have so much to say. Even just ridiculous things like The Parent Trap, we just stuck on over Christmas.
I do that watching
you know?
films that we're never going to review,
Yeah.
like
That aren't Disney.
Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah.
forgetting, like, well, why am I reviewing this in my head? This is what happened after I did media studies at college. Every advert I saw, in my head was composing a little essay about it.
So there we go. If you want to get in touch at all, you can do it mailbox at 37disneystreet.co.uk or on Facebook or on Twitter or on YouTube or on Instagram. Anywhere else?
Do we have a Reddit sub?
No.
No.
We don't have a
What's it
subreddit.
called? A subreddit.
We don't have a
we don't have a
subreddit, no.
subreddit.
We
I
don't.
want to eat that popcorn.
We should have a Discord somewhere, I reckon. That's something we could do. I'll look into
Is
it.
Discord the one that looks like a game controller that's also Mickey Mouse's trousers?
Maybe.
Shorts.
Oh, yeah, possibly. Yeah.
I'm
Good.
still not sure what that's supposed to represent.
Don't know. Who knows?
Let us
Anyway,
know. Let us know.
there we go. We're going to go now, so we'll say goodbye. Bye.
Bye.